Yay! Mm. All right, guys.
Usually both chats. YouTube chats too.
Yeah.
Others.
I know. I'm just moving it. All right, guys. Welcome. Okay, we are here for live ACT help today. So, check it out. We're gonna start with question 13. Okay, so we're taking a look at question 13 here. Need to narrow that down a bit. So go ahead and read through question 13. Of course, if you guys have any trouble with the volume or sound or picture or anything like that, pop it in the chat, let me know. But other than that, put your answers in the comments. Put them in the chat. Let's see what you guys get. This is a great question for a function notation. Pancake Mix, hi, it's been a while. Getting a lot of D36. Oh, Rust, you're already bumping ahead into the into number 14. So Nayeli, this is from the ACT, so this is from a released ACT exam. So last week we did questions 1 through 11, so today I'm just kind of doing the next couple of pages in the packet. But number 12 was kind of, I would have to zoom out so far for you guys to see the whole question, so that's why we skipped over this. So this is for the ACT, but it's good practice for any standardized test, really. Okay. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and let's get into it. So we've got these two functions that we've got. So function f and function g. Okay, so this is function notation. So function f is you take the x value or whatever's in the parentheses and you plug it in, you multiply it by 5, and then you add 1. For function g, here, you take whatever's in the parentheses and you square it and then subtract 2. So that's what this function notation is. So if we had something like f of, oh, that's going to be too far off to the side. Hold on. So if we took something like f of 2, right, whatever's in the parentheses, I'm going to substitute that in for the x. So it would be 5 times 2 plus 1, which would be 11. So f of 2 is 11. Okay, but it's not asking us to do that. It's asking us to do f of g of -3. So when you have something like this, you work from the inside out. So what we're going to plug into function f is what we get when we plug in -3 into the function g. Okay, so g of -3, that's what we're going to start with. So g of -3 is -3 squared minus 2. So that's 9 minus 2. We want to make sure that we include that negative in the parentheses because it's the whole thing that's being squared. All right, so -3 squared is 9. 9 minus 2 is 7. So that means that g of -3 is 7. So we're going to put that into function f. So we're going to say f of 7, because again, 7 is g of -3. So f of 7 is 5 times 7 plus 1, which is 36. So our answer is D. So excellent job. So this is just a really good glimpse into what we do for function notation. Okay. All right, let's go ahead. I know that we've got a couple of people. We've got a bunch of people on YouTube. Hello, Sasha. Hello, Jeremiah. And we've got a bunch of people in TikTok also. All right, so I know that some of you have already given me your answer for 14, but go ahead and take a look at this one. So let's take a look at number 14 and put your answer in the chat. So Jack, no, it's not for preschoolers. It's for high school students. This is from the ACT. But I'm glad you think that it's really simple. But there's some more complicated ones, and a little bit. Some of them are pretty easy, Jack, but the thing is that a lot of these like standardized tests are like you have to really understand what they're saying, right? Like if you don't understand this gives X in terms of Y, you may not have any idea of what to do. So a lot of that is just kind of like understanding where these, like what they're asking you to do. All right, so let's take about 1 more minute and then we'll start going over this question. So get your, yeah, I know, Jack. I've been a high school teacher for long enough. All right, hi, Grace. Okay, we got some G, we got some H, we got some F. Can I interest anybody in a J or a K? Yeah, so George, this is, these are from the ACT. So this is a released exam. So these are all questions that were on the ACT. So this is, Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2. It's all kind of in that wheelhouse a bit. Okay, so let's take a look at this. So like I was saying earlier, a big part of this is being able to understand what they're asking you to do, right? Like, what is the answer for this? And so this statement right here, this gives X in terms of Y. Okay, so X in terms of Y means that you're not going to be getting a value for X because you have two variables in this equation, right? So we start out with 7y equals 2x minus 5. Okay, so giving X in terms of Y means that you have X equals something, 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 including Y, right? So it's kind of like relating the value of X by itself to how it's related to whatever Y is. So we want this to become X equals something. Oh, sorry, I went over a little bit too far. So X equals something. Okay, so the way I'm going to figure that out is I am going to solve for X. So I'm going to add 5. So I've got 7y plus 5 equals 2x. And then I would divide both sides by 2. And then I'm going to flip the whole thing. Well, I guess I don't really have to. So 7y plus 5 over 2 equals x by itself. Okay, so my answer right here is right there, G. Okay. All right. Okay, so Audrey Padre, let's see. I've only taken Algebra 1. Should I wait until junior year? Also, is SAT math the same? I'm studying for PSAT. Yep, SAT math and ACT math are very, very similar. The exams themselves are a little bit differently structured. ACT you can still take on paper, but SAT is all digital now, I believe. There's some difference in the structure and like how the questions are formatted and things like that. But ultimately, like, they're two standardized exams. You can get into the weeds about like the differences between the two. But, you know, if you can take both, take both. If you can't take any, don't take any, because not all colleges require them. A lot of them do, but many colleges and universities have gone to test optional. So STEM help, let's see. I'm going into pre-calc this year as a sophomore. Should I take it this year? So if you are taking it for college admissions, I don't believe that taking it sophomore year is going to be like admissible or accepted. I think there is a limit to how long you need to like take it. It needs to be done within like the year before you apply for the college or something like that. I'm not exactly sure. But yeah, so double check. And you can also double check. I mean, take it. That's fine. You've got nothing to lose, right? Okay. Let's see. Carlos, you went to community college, then transferred, didn't have to take the exams. Yeah. Community college is a great deal. I did a lot of classes at community college, like when I was home from my college in the summers and things. I took a lot of general ed there. Okay. All right, guys, let's bump it up. So we're getting into some trig. So those of you who may be in Algebra 1 or Geometry, you haven't taken Algebra 2, you may not have any idea of what this is, okay? But that's okay. We'll get into it a little bit, okay? Yeah, Carlos saves a lot in tuition doing community college first, yep. So mathematic fanatic believe that the value of tan A was unnecessary. I mean, it does save you a step. It does save you a step. Yeah, Audrey, Soka Toa. Yep. But so the Toa is just TOA. Ooh, over on YouTube, we've got Yum is from Angola. Ooh, welcome. All right, let's see. Hold on. Somebody's talking about. Okay, Uncle Goaty. In my state, Texas colleges look at SAT scores. They're too low. They put you in remedial courses. Yeah. So I graduated high school in Texas as well. I didn't go to college in Texas, but yeah, the SAT scores. Yeah, but a lot of schools have gone to test optional, at least as far as admissions go. Yeah. Let's see. George, is Khan Academy a good app? You know, Khan Academy can be really helpful. I don't think it's, I think it's a good supplement. So if you're trying to review for like SAT or ACT, I think it's a really good supplement to go through a lot of those. I don't think it is a good replacement for like actually learning and being taught the material, but I think it does have a good use for it. Yeah. All right, guys. Yeah, so George, Khan Academy is an app and a website that a lot of teachers use. We used it a lot, especially during the pandemic when we were trying to teach virtually. A lot of teachers used it to just help support and supplement. And it's got a lot of videos and practice, and it tracks a lot of your progress and your understanding and things like that. Sorry guys, I got my hair done today and it just is not behaving. You know when you get your hair done and it's like, it's a little bit off, like the way the hairdresser styles it. I love my hairdresser, I love her. But it's just a little bit off, and so it keeps like, I don't know. Math AI or app would be really helpful to learn. What math AI or app would be really helpful to learn? I don't know. I don't know. Oh, hello, Nemo. Okay, let's get into this. Okay. Raina, do you get Desmos on ACT Math? So you do go, you do get a Desmos calculator on ACT and SAT if you take it digitally. So if you take it on paper, you still need to actually bring your calculator. ChatGPT, yeah, ChatGPT is not the best at math. Yeah. So KZX, I can't read that name. Last year I did Khan Academy on the SAT and I got a bad score. My score was 680. Yeah, I mean, so Khan Academy, again, it's a good supplement, but the best way to increase your scores on standardized tests is to just practice taking standardized tests, because it's a different mindset. It's a different way of thinking about problems. It's a different way of solving these math problems. So like, for example, let's go ahead and get into question 15. But there are two main ways that I always talk about answering or working through problems on a standardized exam. So the first way is to just solve the problem and find your answer among the choices. Okay, that's what we're going to do on this one. The other good way is to use the answer choices and figure out which one is correct. So it's kind of two different ways that you can go about. Those are the two main strategies that will get you through 90% of the questions. Okay, so now this one here, this question here is for an angle with a measure A in a right triangle. Sine A is 4/5 and tangent A is 4/3. What is the value of cosine A? So these sine, tangent, and cosine, so we can remember this with SOHCAHTOA. So sine is the opposite over the hypotenuse. Cosine is the adjacent over the hypotenuse. And tangent is the opposite over the adjacent. So that's where the SOHCAHTOA comes from. Okay. Now, the way that this is set up is if this is my angle here, okay, that's my angle. This is my opposite because it's across from my angle. This is my adjacent because it's adjacent to my angle. And then this side across from the 90 degrees is always going to be my hypotenuse, okay? So if you have not taken Algebra 2 yet, some of you might take it in geometry. You might learn this in geometry, some basic right triangle trig. And the reason, or one of the reasons why you may push it down into geometry as a teacher is so students are comfortable with this, because this is pretty much as much trig as you need to know for the ACT and the SAT. If you do SOHCAHTOA, you can get through pretty much any right triangle trig problem that you get, okay? So if I know that sine of the angle is 4/5, that means that my opposite is 4, and my hypotenuse, because this one is 4, so that's my opposite, and my hypotenuse is 5, okay? Now, just based on that, I could answer this question, right? But they even go a step further to give me that tangent is 4/3. Well, tangent is opposite over adjacent. So this actually gives me all 3 sides, right? Because the one that I don't have is my adjacent. And they just told me that it's 3. So now I know to figure out cosine, I need adjacent over hypotenuse. My adjacent is 3 and my hypotenuse is 5. So cosine of this angle is adjacent over hypotenuse, which is 3/5. So that's B. And that's it. Okay, again, this is as much as you really need to know for trig. Okay, so I'm seeing a lot of people in the chat on YouTube and TikTok asking about like improving your score on SAT, ACT, ASVAB, right? Any standardized test, like, I don't know, what is the Texas test now? When I was in school, it was the TOS test, and then it was the TAX test, and then it was the TEKS test. It's been all sorts of things. But the standardized, and then like when I was in California, it was the CAP test. I don't know. But GED also, all of these things, all of these standardized tests, the best way to prepare for them is to practice. Oh, it's the STAR test now. That's right. It's the STAR test. That's, yeah. Yeah, I remember. Yeah. 1410 is not bad, Raina. 1410 is not that bad. So Uncle Gody, have you seen kids in calculus that struggle with algebra? Yes. So one of those things, that's why I'm always very cautious and very conservative when it comes to accelerating kids too quickly to get, I want to be in calculus by my junior year. Well, hold on. Like you need to make sure that you have a strong algebra foundation because everything is built on that, right? Now, are there outliers? Are there outlier students who are ready? Yes, absolutely. And they're going to be great, right? But it may be one of those things where, like, I tell this story all the time when after I graduated, I had taken 4 years of calculus in college, and then I went to take my GRE, and I kind of went, wait, how do I find the area of a triangle? Right? Those basic math skills, those basic like pre-algebra and algebra things, and geometry, those are all what's on these standardized tests. And so sometimes when you accelerate too fast, you lose, if you don't have a really strong foundation to build on, you lose those basic skills and those basic understandings that are so essential to understand what's going on in upper level math. Okay, so let's see. All right, so those of you who are just joining us, we are doing, oh man. Okay. This one might be kind of hard to see. All right, let's see. If that's too zoomed out, let me know. I don't know. Let me know if you guys can read that or not. It's kind of zoomed out. So these are all ACT problems that we are working through. These are from released ACT questions and all of that. Okay, Raina, you can see it. Awesome. So that last question with the trig things, you know, you do a lot of trig in pre-calc. You also do a lot of trig in algebra 2. You may or may not do it in geometry, but that's kind of all you really need to know within there. All right, so guys, you may need to draw this one out. Okay. Oh, Paula, let's see. I'm in high school math and I got math prep and I don't really know what it is. So that depends on what your school, every school may have a slightly different like name for different things, right? Like some schools will call it a study hall, some schools call it tutorial, some schools call it prep, right? So if you've got math prep, if that's in addition to your regular math class, it might just be like a study hall that's like with a math teacher there to help you study and help you like get ready for and review and things like that. I mean, math prep is pretty nice. But it just depends on, it kind of depends on your school. So I don't really know what it is either. You know, it might just be a math specific study hall. Yeah, Paula, I think it's probably a study hall. I mean, take it, right? Like that's going to be nice. Yeah. But it doesn't hurt to ask, right? Just ask what it is and all of that. Okay, guys, so let's go ahead. Let's take a look at this question. Yeah, let's take a look at this question and put your answer in the chat. Do I need to zoom in? Let me know if I need to zoom in on this so you guys can see it. Okay. See, guys, I'm going through and I'm reading this too. Okay, so let's go through and let's look at this. So we've got a couple of things that I'm noticing. Okay. So we want to make sure that we read through. So it's this trapezoidal landscape design. I just got given dimensions in meters. I don't really care about the units, but I do care about the description. So the trapezoid consists of a right triangle and a square divided into 3 isosceles right triangles. Okay, so this is a right triangle there because that's what it just told me. Okay. So then let's see. Oh, it's kind of hard to see, huh? Okay. So 3 isosceles right triangles. So what that means is that isosceles means that it's got 2 equal side lengths. Okay, so 2 of the sides are equal. So since it's isosceles and right triangles, I know that these are 90 degrees. And I'm also going to know that these sides are all going to be congruent. Okay. All right, so this here, right here, this is going to be 4, right? Because if the whole side is 14, and then we know that that one side is 10, and then this is going to be 10 is the height, right? So now that area of that triangle, so what is the area in square meters that will be black rock? So that's going to be 1/2 times 10 times 4, which is 20. Okay. So now right off the bat, I know that it's not going to be F, right? Because I already know that one of those triangles by itself is 20. Okay. So now here, this is 10, right? That side length is 10. Okay. Now here, well, oh, actually, so this triangle here, the area of that triangle is going to be 1/4 of the area of the whole square. Okay, because it's a half of a half. Okay, so then half of a half. So this whole square is going to be 100. Half of that is 50, and then half again is 25. So this one here is going to be 25. So I've got 20 plus 25. So my answer is H. Okay, so that's 45 is my answer. Okay. So Morty, yeah, so so you could look at the sorry, I was trying to process what you were saying. So this height here, you're saying is 5, right? Yep. So that height is 5. And then the base is 10. Yeah. So then half of that would be 25. All right, let's do another one. Ooh. Oh, I feel like this one is going to be very interesting. Yeah, Morty, it's one of those questions where you're like, oh, I see like 5 different ways to do this. And then you just got to pick one and go for it. Oh man, Morty, I want to do some more of like the trade school maths and things like that. Because I think with doing, I mean, like fractions and things like that, well, at least in the United States, when you're using measurements and things like that, when you're using feet and inches, getting into fractions and all those like eighths and all of that. Bring down the question a tad bit. Okay, that's easy. There, how's that? Zoom out a tiny bit. Okay. There. Move it over a little bit. I know there's so many the boxes of nonsense. I like that. That's a good way to say that. The boxes of nonsense. And the thing is that I can't see them, so I'm not really sure. Like I try to kind of frame it right, but you know, it takes a village. What's going on, Bill? All right, guys, get your answers in the comments in the chat. I see 30. I see D. Man, everybody's getting it. Okay. So I'm going to work this question out. So again, this is one of those questions where like, I'm just going to have to figure out the answer. Okay. So here's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to use two different colors. I'm going to say light A and light B. So light A, so we'll just say that the time that they flashed at the same time is like 0, right? So then how many times until the two signs next flash at the same time? Two signs flash at the same time. Okay, so let's see. Sign A is going to be every 6 seconds. So it's 0, 6, 12. I'm spreading these out too far. So it's going to be 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42. And let's see if they coincide, and then if not, then we'll, go from there. So then the other one, let's see, light B is every 10 seconds. So that's going to be at 10, 20, and 30. Oh, there it is. I've got 30 here and I've got 30 here. So that means that after 30 seconds, they are going to flash at the same time. So this would actually be a really good, yeah, it's just the lowest like multiple or lowest common denominator, all of that. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So that's what you're looking for is you're like, oh, so 6 and 10, the first time, they have a common multiple is going to be 30. Okay. Now the next one would be 60, right? 30, 60. Yeah. Okay. So that would be a really fun way to kind of like lead your students to figure out like the least common multiple. That's cool. Okay, so this is a question where we went through and we just kind of found the answer. Okay, so now this next one, number 18, is one that I would actually say is I mean, you can do it however you want, right? Again, nobody's checking your work for ACT. It's fine. But I would use my answers. I would use the answer choices to figure it out. So go ahead and see. Yep. You could use Desmos for sure. Yeah. So this question is looking at factoring. Okay, so we're factoring these quadratics. Okay, we got H's and K's. All right, so we're looking at this one and we're going to be factoring. So the first thing we do when we factor is we look for the greatest common factor. So in this, all of these numbers are divisible by 4. So we're going to take out 4 and we're left with x squared plus 2x minus 3. Okay, now x squared plus 2x minus 3. So once I take that 4 out, that actually takes out f and g. So now what I'm looking at is h, j, and k. All right, so I've got a lot of people guessing k. Yeah, you're kind of unfoiling. Yep. So, but what we can also do is now that we've narrowed it down to just be that 4, right? Now we can just multiply these together. If we just kind of ignore that 4 and just look at like the x minus 3 times x minus 1 and all of that. But another shortcut is that this sign, the fact that this is negative, tells me that the signs in my binomials, meaning like the x minus 3 and x minus 1 or x minus 3 and x plus 1, are different signs. So it's going to be positive and negative. They're going to have different signs. And this tells me that the larger number is going to be positive. Okay, so that is going to be right here for k. Now that is sort of a shortcut that you can use to just be a little bit more efficient. Again, like on these standardized tests, it's all about efficiency, right? So if you don't pick up on that pattern, totally fine. But you may remember how to factor, okay? If you are getting ready for the SAT and ACT, definitely review factoring. So what I would look for is two numbers that multiply to -3. So multiply to -3. And, oops, sorry. And they would add to +2. So that would be +3 and -1. So -3, or I'm sorry, +3 times -1 gives you a -3. And then +3 minus 1 gives you a +2. There you go. So there is K. All right. Ooh, let's do this one. Okay, this one has a lot of words, but let's go ahead and check it out. So let's see what you guys can do. Subtraction on the big ACT. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Ooh, Calc 3. I did take Calc 3, but we don't usually get into it on here. We're usually like pre-algebra, algebra 1, algebra 2, geometry. We kind of stick with that. Okay, so a person's vertical jump is the difference between, Whiskey Tango Fox 225. So this is from the ACT, which is a standardized exam. So usually this is geared towards like high school students. Yeah, but it's for pretty much like sophomores and juniors. That's kind of the target. Yeah, so just subtracting 10 foot 4 inches from 7 foot 10 inches. Now, this is, I would say, uniquely an American question because it's feet and inches, right? But so what we've got is the maximum height that Donald can reach is 10 feet 4 inches. So 10 feet 4 inches. Oh my gosh, we can't read that at all. Okay, so what we're really looking at is 10 feet 4 inches minus 7 feet 10 inches. There are 12 inches in a foot. So if we add 2 inches to 7 feet 10 inches, that gets us to 8 feet. So then we add 2 feet and 4 more inches. So it's going to be 2 feet 6 inches, which is C. Okay. But again, if you don't know that there's 12 inches in a foot, you're kind of at a disadvantage on that, right? Okay, let's see. All right, last page. Ooh, I think we might need to. Oh, you know what? I might need to. Let's do a different page because this one is going to be really difficult to see. So hold on, guys. Stand by. That is, let's see. Did that one, did that one, did that one, did that one, did that one. There we go. Let's look at this one here. Boop. Okay. All right. All right, there we go. Okay, we got some geometry. Boop, boop. All right, there you go. Let me know if you guys need me to move it down or move it up or, you know, zoom in, zoom out, all that good stuff. Okay, let me go, or let me know, make sure you guys can all see that and everything. Hey, you know what, Jack? Sometimes you just have to eyeball it. Oh man, I feel like we've got all the different answers. Okay, so over on YouTube, we've got E. Let's see. Yeah, Sydney, why don't you put your thinking into the chat? Why do you say it's 4? Okay. Oh, Yoshi, you're gonna have to wait another minute or so. You know, sometimes, guys, sometimes these are just a total guess. And I know that that's going to happen, and we all know that's going to happen. I think the test writers even know that some of these questions are going to be just a total guess. Okay. But if you do try some of these like strategies and things like that, you can kind of logic and reason your way through it. Okay. Throw out the outliers, okay? I know, if you're gonna guess, I would say you always go for like C or D, right? You kind of always want to go for those middle letters, right? Okay. Okay, so let's take a look at this. So the volume, I'm going to show you one way and then I'm going to show you another way. So the first way to do this is to just, I know that in each of these prisms, X is the same, right? Y is the same, Z is the same. Those variables aren't going to change values, okay? So the volume of this one, so the volume of a rectangular prism is length times width times height, right? That you multiply the 3 together. So X times Y times Z, okay? Now the volume of the larger prism is, is 2X times 2Y times 3Z. Okay, now 2X times 2Y times 3Z is 12X, Y, Z. So the volume of the larger prism is 12 times the volume of the smaller prism. Okay, so that would lead us to think that the answer is E, right? But let's also look at this if we just plug in some numbers, okay? So if we plug in values, if we say that X, Y, and Z, let's say that X is 2, Y is 3, and Z is 4, okay? We're just gonna assign those, they're kind of arbitrary, right? It's kind of arbitrary for that. But we're just gonna use it because again, we know that X is X, Y is Y, Z is Z in each of these things. So in this case, the volume of this smaller one would be 2 times 3 times 4, which is 24. Okay. The volume of this one would be let's see, 2 times 2, which is 4, 2 times 3, which is 6, and then 3 times 4, which is 12. Now again, look at this, guys. You've got 24 times 12. So again, it's 12 times larger than the smaller one. Okay, so right there, that's 2 different ways of showing that the answer is E. We could fit that many in there, okay, because it's 12 times more. Okay. All right. We've got time for one more. Okay. So this one, ooh, this might be kind of hard to see. Okay. So it's 64 to the 1/3 power equals 2 to the x. Okay, now this one I would say, I would say that this one is solidly in the algebra 2 realm. Okay, solidly for the algebra 2 realm. Hi, Bubby. This is getting into much more advanced exponent rules. Okay. This is something you would probably talk about like when you talk about exponential functions and maybe even getting into logarithms. You would start kind of talking about this stuff. Okay, so we've got 64 to the 1/3 equals 2 to the x. Okay, so I'm just gonna write this a little bit bigger so you can all see this. Okay, that's the one that we're looking for. Okay, here's one more minute. We've got 2, we've got 4, we've got all sorts of things. Okay. Got G all day. Okay. All right. So one major concept that we need to understand in order to do this is that if you have something with these exponent rules, when you get into the exponents where the variable is in the exponent, okay, there's a couple of different things that you have to keep in mind. And the main thing is if you've got hold on. I got to do the little I'm still here thing. There we go. Okay. So if I've got something like where it says 3 squared equals 3 to the x, okay? When they have the same base, I can go ahead and sort of almost like take out the base and just look at, oh, well then 2 is x, right? Because 3 squared equals 3 to the x, which would be 3 squared, okay? Okay, so then the x would be 2. So thinking about that and going to this 64 to the 1/3 power equals 2 to the x power, we have to think about getting those into the same base. So 64, let's see, so 2 to the 3rd is 8, right? 2 to the 4th would be 16. 2 to the 5th would be 32, and 2 to the 6th would be 64. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use that. I'm going to substitute in this 64 here. I'm going to rewrite that as 2 to the 6th. And then that's 2 to the 6th to the 1/3 equals 2 to the x. Okay. So now 2 to the 6th to the 1/3, when you have a power like that, you multiply those exponents together. So that becomes 2 to the 6/3 equals 2 to the x. Well, 6/3 is just 2, right? So that means 2 squared equals 2 to the x. So that means that x equals 2. It's G. And that's it. Okay. You could also look at this as 64 to the 1/3 is the same thing as the cube root of 64. So you can even pop this into your calculator and look for the cube root of 64, which is 4. And 4 equals 2 squared. So x would be 2. Okay. That's, yep, calculators allowed on this. So if you know that 64 to the 1/3 is the same thing as the cube root of 64, you could even just put that into your calculator. Or a lot of calculators will let you just put in 64 to the 1/3 and then use the parentheses. And then you can just get that if you plug in 64 to the 1/3 power, you're going to get that it's 4. 4 equals 2 squared, so x is 2. Yep, there you go. You don't even have to do all that mess. You can just pop it into a calculator. Okay, but this other stuff with the exponent rules is pretty important to know too, because what if they just gave you this without any answer choices? Okay. Yeah, you could graph it and find an intersection, but I think it's gonna be a little bit easier to do all the other stuff. All right, guys, it is 9:05. It is that time of night. So Yum over on YouTube asks, is ACT is better than SAT for international students? I know that I don't know is the short answer for that. I don't know. I know there are additional exams that you have to do as an international student for coming to United States colleges and universities. And I don't know if it's ACT or SAT is better. That would be a good question, though. But I don't know. Short answer, I don't know. All right, guys, have a wonderful night. We will be back next week, and then we'll be gone the following week. The week of Labor Day, we're out. But yeah, have a great night. Bye.
Screen is finished. And then on go